Hey. So this is Maggie. This is my fiance. And she's here to answer the question how my partner is adjusting to my transition. So, how are you adjusting to everything?
I think I'm fairly well adjusted. There's definitely been some adjusting to your mood changes. Grumpy Grandpa is around a lot more lately, which I'm not so much a fan of.
Like my patience?
Yes, like your patience. It's very thin. You've never really been a patient person, but you always manage to do fairly well with me. I think here recently, the last few weeks especially, there's been a lot less patience to go around.
And how are you specifically dealing with that?
Well, I kind of have to remind myself that not to take it personally. Like, I have to sort of count to 10, and I think you were asking me what my process was.
Yeah. What exactly do you do when I piss you off or when I storm out of the room?
I try to just let you do what you have to do. I find myself rolling my eyes a lot. But definitely counting to 10. I start off by pouting usually, because sometimes when you see me pouting, it either helps or it doesn't help at all. In fact, sometimes it makes it worse. But there are times it helps a lot.
What, me seeing you pout?
Yeah, you see that you're upsetting me, you kind of sometimes will. It's almost like you do a self-check, like, okay, maybe I'm being an asshole. So I start with pouting usually because it's my initial reaction, because you've turned me into a princess. And then I'm sort of like, all right, fuck it, you're going to be in a bad mood. So I let you sort of do your thing. And usually I have to remind myself that I love you, and that smothering you in your sleep is not the answer. And yeah, I mean, we don't really go to bed mad, so we figure it out.
Yeah. I've never really been one to, well, I might go to bed mad, but I never go to sleep mad. I can't sleep if I'm mad.
No, and we're really good at making up. In fact, I might find a reason to piss you off in a little while.
Yeah. So, I can't remember what I was going to ask you.
I don't know, but I have a lesson.
Yeah, let's talk about the needles.
Okay, so...
Well, I think about what I was going to ask you.
So we switched drugstores. And when we...
Yeah, from CVS up in Lincolnwood to Meijer here in Champaign.
And when we did, they switched needles on us.
It was bad.
We had a sort of moment of panic. Oh.
Our dog is having a freak out right now. Sorry. She's going fucking crazy.
Hey.
Relax. Shh. It's okay.
Okay. Oh.
Hey. Anyway,
so when we first got his prescription for both his tea and his needles and stuff, it was really exciting, and they gave us these. These were the original needles. Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to ask for them next time.
Yeah. In case you're wondering why we have them,
we are keeping one for every month.
Yes.
So that I can take neat Instagram pictures.
Nifty. So anyway, these are the original ones. They're awesome. They would come just like this. And all we'd have to do is pop the cap off and the needle would be on there. And I'd draw it back and we'd inject it. And then once I got done injecting and had pushed the needle clear down, the needle would spring back into the syringe so I couldn't stab myself with it.
Which is good because she tends to hurt herself accidentally with sharp objects.
It's surprising they gave me a license to cut hair.
And poke me with needles.
And poke you with needles. So these are what we were used to. Well, he came home with his prescription. Mind you, Meyer took forever to fill it. I wanna say
was
that
3 days late.
Yeah, it was awful, and I want you to know that 3 days
makes a huge difference.
He was
an asshole,
making me batshit crazy. So when we got them, they come in a package, clearly, in 2 pieces, like this. This is the top part with the needle in it. I feel like I'm not. Oh, there we go. Everything's backwards. And then it comes with this piece, which is the syringe. This is really weird. Okay, so first of all, a new step was added. We had to screw them together.
Screw it.
Screw it. And then we were looking at them, and this wouldn't just come off. It was really weird. So finally, I got the cap off.
She yanked it.
Well, then there's this piece when you get the other one. Okay. So when you take it off, and then there's this thing. Well, this one's been cut, but I pushed it, and that's how I got the cap off. And when I did, this popped up. That one's been cut. Anyway, it did this. You see that? Yeah. So the needle was completely blocked by this. You've been calling it the transformer device.
Yeah, it is a transformer. It looks like a fucking piece of machinery.
It's dumb, is what it is.
Really stupid.
It's really dumb. So here we are, first time using these needles, and this happens. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I have to get to that needle. We can't just, like, you know. So at this point, I've been dicking around with it for like 20 minutes. So I grabbed my crafting scissors and I cut this part right here. Just
she's badass.
Cut it off. I'm like, problem solved. But since I had been dicking around with it, and like, I don't know if you'll be able to see.
Well,
it has like a metal up in this like circle part here. It has a metal piece that protects you from getting stabbed with the needle. Yeah, right in there. And I thought, because it just popped up on there, and, oh, no. No. Sorry.
We have a puppy that we're trying to deal with as well. But anyway.
Anyway, point being, I had, like, dulled the needle.
It sucked.
I felt so horrible about that. I want you to know.
It literally pushed in on my skin and then went through the skin. Like, it wasn't just like a clean, like, you know, needle into skin. Mm-mm. It was like a...
You literally heard it pop.
Like, kind of like pushing a pin into a balloon. Like, you see it push into it and then go through. It was extremely painful, and it left a nice little bruise. And I was not happy. I was a little pissy Pam for a couple days.
I felt horrible.
Anyway, lesson
learned.
When you go to the pharmacist and they give you new needles, she's crazy right now.
Before you leave, first of all, check the prescription.
Yeah, and ask them how to use your goddamn needles.
Yeah,
because don't be a man and think, oh, I'm just gonna figure it out. Mm-hmm. No, you're not gonna figure it out. It's gonna hurt like hell.
Because I am pretty damn crafty, and I'm really good with...
We were not crafty enough.
I'll tell you what.
It sucked.
Although the crafting needles did, or scissors did...
you know, if we would have figured it out before we dulled the needle, it would have been fine. But also, if we would have asked the pharmacy how to use the goddamn needles, it also would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be crafty. Just ask. Ask for directions. Yeah. Just stop being a man for 2.5 before you get your fucking shot.
You know what? Be the kind of man that asks for directions because women will like you better.
Maybe. When it comes to needles and being an asshole, yes, I agree.
So, lesson learned here is if you don't have a smartphone, be the kind of man that asks for directions. But if you've got Google Chrome, whatever phone, then you're good to go. Yeah.
All right, so I remembered I was going to ask you.
Okay.
What advice do you have to give to people who may not have... Okay, so who may be dealing with an asshole 24/7 instead of, an asshole only some of the time? Because I have a feeling I'm going to be more of an asshole as this goes on. So what advice would you give to yourself later? And what advice would you give to people who are in your shoes dealing with someone who's maybe not coping with testosterone as well?
Like not communicating as well?
Anything. Just not doing as well. Or not coping.
Okay, so if you ever watch any of my videos, I always...
You are on what site? Just so they have reference.
Well, first of all, I post all of my videos on my blog on Tumblr, which is For the Love of a Trans Man. But I'm also a member of FTM Sweethearts. It's a Facebook group as well as a YouTube channel. And we do weekly videos from the perspective of a partner.
Lots of partners.
Yes, there are lots of us. It's not just me.
From lots of different backgrounds and lots of different relationship types.
Yes.
It's really cool.
And I think it's really good for everyone. And I think it's healthy for me. But communication is what I preach the most. But if you're dealing with a situation where communication is not an option, make sure, like with your partner, make sure you're at least communicating with yourself. Because denial is not just a river in Egypt. And if it's not good, if you're in a situation that is not good, if you are not taking care of you first, then
it's never going to work.
It's never going to work.
Ever.
You have to do you first and foremost.
Because...
And it's not about... I'm not telling you to be selfish. I'm not telling you that, well, it's about me. And that's that. What I'm saying is you have to make sure that you are okay emotionally. Because if you're not right, you can't support someone else emotionally. If you can't support your own emotional self, there's no way you're supporting someone else's emotional self. It's just not going to happen. People don't function that way.
Without her communication, I would be lost. So,
though it's not just me.
No, it's not just
there.
you.
There have been many times where you've had to yank stuff out of me too, stuff that I didn't want to talk about.
But that was before this. I'm just saying, like, in my transition, if she didn't push for communication as much as she does, we would be in a world of hurt. And we would probably not be together. So, communication is key, and her staying true to herself gives me something that challenges me, but also, even if I wasn't with you, I would still have to deal with someone being themselves. So.
You'd still have to deal with me anyway.
Well, it's true.
Comes with being best friends.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Communication is key. Being you is key.
Absolutely.
Letting each other be themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
So she's going to be in future videos, hopefully. And this was Maggie.
It was nice to meet you all.
And we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.